Hello everyone, welcome to Scott Reviews Things in 4.5 minutes. And what am I reviewing this time? I am reviewing the 1982 movie Jekyll and Hyde Together Again, starring Mark Blankfield, Bess Armstrong, and Tim Thomerson. And I remember this movie, I was about 12 when it came out, 1982. Was I 12? 12, yes, 12. And I just remember the reviewers just trashing this movie. They're saying this movie is complete garbage. You should not go see this movie. And when you're 12 years old and you hear that a movie is garbage, the first thing you want to do is go see that movie. And I never saw that movie when I was 12. And it's probably a good thing I didn't see that movie when I was 12. I saw it years later, and I just watched it again for this review. And it is a time cap. This movie screams 1980s. The first part, the first part of the end of the 1970s, the beginning of the 1980s. This movie just screams that. Just with all the references in it, the way the movie looks, and then all the comedy. This was supposed to be a rowdy, bawdy comedy. The opening credit scene, the letters are in cocaine. Yes. You see, cocaine, opening credit scene. That's how the movie starts. And this movie just makes fun of everything which is sort of taboo nowadays. Drugs, sex, transvestite, castration, little people. It makes fun of other cultures. Just stuff that would probably get you in a lot of trouble today if you went and made it. A lot of people say, there's like Blazing Saddles. They say, well, that movie could never be made today. Well, I don't think this movie could ever be made today. And not only so, and it's a movie about a guy who gets hooked on drugs, hooked on cocaine or cocaine-like substance, and there's no repercussions, and that's totally 80s. 80s was the time of no repercussions. It's like you just do what you want to do and just screw the consequences. And so, is this movie as bawdy as I remember it is? Is this movie as over the top as I remember it is? And I don't know, got that head shake going. And it isn't. It's the movie's not all bawdy comedy, over the top comedy. There's a lot of clever puns, a lot of clever wordplay, a lot of clever jokes in this movie, which sort of get, bulldozed over with the over-the-top comedy. Mark Blankfield, the guy who stars in the movie as Jekyll and Hyde, I will say this, he does a good job. He was known for the TV show Fridays. That was on ABC, trying to compete with Saturday Night Live. It was on for a couple of seasons. That show is mainly remembered by it starred both Michael Richards and Larry David. As you all know, went on to bigger and better things. Larry David kept going and Michael Richards didn't. The odd thing is, what Michael Richards got in trouble for would probably fly in this movie, because that's how it was in the 80s. Everything went. Mark Blankfield, he does a great job of transferring. You would believe him as Dr. Jekyll and you believe him as Mr. Hyde. And Mark Blankfield is a very, very good physical comedian. I like the stuff that he did physically. He reminded me a little of Steve Martin, and that must have rang true with other people because he also starred in a made-for-TV movie, The Jerk 2, T-O-O, based on the Steve Martin movie. So yes, he moved a lot like Steve Martin in the physical comedy scenes. But this movie could have been bigger. If you're gonna be, not bad, but if you're gonna do a drug comedy, do a drug comedy. It lagged a little in the middle. For the time, they could have been bigger and bolder with their decisions. I liked parts of it, and I didn't like parts of it. This is sort of like a 50-50 movie. It's kind of good and it's kind of bad.